Welcome to Here's the Deal, where we educate, elevate, and inspire the next generation of entrepreneurs. On Here's the Deal podcast, we tell the real stories of business owners, the challenges, the lessons, and the wins that define their journey. And through Here's the Deal video marketing, we help you share your story with the world, creating high-quality video content that's easy, comfortable, and cost-effective. Because every entrepreneur has a story worth telling. And at Here's the Deal, that's where that story comes to life. Everybody, what's going on? This episode of Here's the Deal is like hitting me different. I mean, I'm sure you're all going to relate to this because I've had some really negative customer experience lately. You know, I just went and bought a new car, not new car, but new to me. Right. And, like dealing with the sales staff was good experience, things like that. But there were a couple issues that I wanted corrected on the vehicle before I, took it over. They were like, okay, sure. And the service department was fucking horrible, to say the least, like fucking horrible. All right. So, I've been very blessed, spoiled, working with Phil at Litchfield Auto for years. I know what excellent customer service is working with him. I saw 180 degrees the difference dealing with these dealership guys. Fucking idiots. Okay. Period. Now, here's the deal. The good people are, they say good people are hard to come by, right? And yeah, that is true. There are, people that, just want a job, things like that. They're not in it to win it kind of thing or whatever, right? But in this case, I see this. Let's flip the script a little bit. I think it's a leadership issue, okay? Because I need to probably have a conversation with that general manager, like, hey, this guy is making you look really bad, okay? And I've bought a few cars in my day, and like I said, just dealing with Litchfield Auto for as long as I've dealt with them, you can't get any better service than them. These guys are 180 degrees opposite. And I think as a leader, you got to own the standard. Okay. And I don't care how big you get. Okay. There still needs to be a standard of excellence. And if you're more worried about turning and burning than you are about retaining your clients, then that's it's a way more expensive proposition than it would be to give the quality service the first time. Because you might actually get more business out of them, God forbid, right? We say in business, right? We're business owners, right? And we say, here's the standard, right? We say, here's the culture. But if you don't walk that out, again, I have not had the conversation with the general manager, right? Like I probably should. Like I would, if I was a general manager, I'd fire that dude right now. I would literally say, get your shit, walk the fuck out right this minute. If you treat a client like that, I can get into the whole story. It would take me a whole damn episode, but it was ridiculous, to say the least. So, but it's what you tolerate as a leader. Okay. When you're going to hire somebody on, like I know I'm hiring people on now, I set the standard. I'm the leader. Okay. This is the minimum. This isn't the floor. Excuse me. This isn't the ceiling. When I say we're going to do this, and this, that's not the ceiling. That's the floor. That's the minimum. What are we doing above that? Okay. That's the standard. I want my employees to know and understand. Here's the deal as a brand. Okay. And this brand is for excellence straight across the board. We're not fluffing it. We're not bullshitting. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. And, we're not mixing words. We're not doing, anything like that. But that's what my clients expect. They expect that standard and for it to be maintained. And that's my job to keep that standard maintained. As I bring other people on, I need to train them. It's like, hey, this is the culture. This is what we're going to do. Yeah, everybody's going to have a bad day every once in a while. Okay, circumstances withstanding, but at the same time, that was not this dude's first rodeo. Okay, this is not the first time this guy tried to just get out on the cheap and thought I was going to just go for the okie doke. Oh, okay, no, no, you're dealing with the wrong dude, wrong answer. So you can't lower your standards just to grow. Okay, the standard should be maintained. It shouldn't be, we're in growth mode, so things are going to get maybe a little looser, or we got to get it done quick. No. Excellence is excellence, and you should be striving for excellence every day in your job, whether you're sweeping a floor or whether you're running a company. You should be striving for excellence, and everybody you bring on board should have that same standard. If they don't have that standard, if they're looking for a job and not trying to be a part of something, and that's on you as the leader. You got to set the tone. Hey, like I said, this is a brand, this is a culture. Okay. I'm not hiring people just to hire people. Okay. I'm hiring the right people. And if I got to hire one, I could probably use about 3 or 4. But if I can only hire one good one, I'm not bringing on 3 or 4 scrubs and then throwing them out the door, bringing on 3 or 4 more scrubs, throwing them out. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not, like I said, because my standards are high. And the person that I just brought on, her standards are high. So we match. We're good. I communicate clearly. This is what we're going to do. This is how I want it done. I mean, you have flexibility. I mean, I don't care how it gets done as long as the mission is accomplished and the standards are met. When, how long, that's completely, on her. How she gets it done, as long as the standards are there and, everything's solid across the board, we're good. I don't micromanage her. Just let her do her thing. If you're lazy about enforcing the rules, then people are just going to do what they're going to do. And again, that reflects bad on you. That reflects bad on your brand. If you think I'm going back to that dealership ever again, ain't going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Unless, like I said, I could, and I probably should have a conversation with the general manager and explain what happened. Because if they say, hey, you bought a used car, it's kind of the way it is, I'd be like, good, you will never get my business again. I'll give you every net. And then they have the audacity to send me, they want me to give them a review. Do you really want my review? Do you really want it? Because I'll give it to you. You ain't going to like it, but I'll give it to you. You got to have people that are aligned with the mission. But again, that comes to leadership. You have to clearly state the mission. Okay. Here's the deal. We educate, elevate, and inspire entrepreneurs. Okay. We're trying to get people motivated to start a business. We're trying to help existing business owners scale their business. And then we're trying to help other business owners exit the business properly. So, and we have all the resources and all the COIs, everybody that we deal with, our network's extensive. So that's the standard. That's what we do. Okay. And on the video marketing side, we are going to make it easy, comfortable, and cost effective for our clients. But our standard is we're going to get this deal done. We're going to have fun doing it. We're going to have a good time during the session, but then we're going to turn that around quick. We're going to turn our recordings around quick, get them out to you, high quality, ready for posting right now. So, but you have to hold that team to that mark, and you have to enforce those standards consistently. You can't say, oh, you missed the deadline. Well, all right, okay, don't let it happen again. I mean, like, the person's doing good work and something happens. Okay, yeah, I mean, you're gonna show some grace. But you start letting people slide, they're gonna be like, oh, okay, well, they're gonna say, well, he wants it done on Monday. I get it done Tuesday. No. I want it done on Monday, which means get it done by Monday. You know what I mean? If I say get it done by Monday, you get it to me Wednesday, we're gonna have a problem. Now, if you come to me on Monday and say, hey, you know what? I'm a little backed up this and third. Okay, but let's see, yeah, we're having a conversation about it. Cool. We can work it out. We'll figure it out. But if you say, hey, yeah, we're going to get done by Monday, and you get it to me Wednesday, we're going to have a problem. And we're going to have a conversation about it. And I don't shy away from tough conversations at all, right? But you got to enforce that standard, but you have to have that clarity of the message. Okay, this is all to me. Yeah, you're gonna have employees, and like I said, their standards are people's standards are different. But like I said, but if you hire the right employees, if you hire the right people that actually have some ethics and some standards and some personal pride in what they do, they can maintain the mission, right? It's got to be, like I said, the message has got to be, clearly defined. It's got to be repeatable, and you got to walk it every day. You can't just every once in a while. Oh yeah, we're da da da. No, that's got to be a daily thing. Like again, that's got to be the minimum. That's not the ceiling. That's the minimum, right? So, like I said, if you set standards for time, the timing of the product, getting out, the product quality, and the customer experience. Those are the things that we do here at Here's the Deal. So we set those standards. Like, hey, we're gonna have this thing turn around, in a couple of days or a week, but you will have it by then. Like I said, for sure. Have you ever had a product? And this is the other thing that set me off too. This is the car experience thing was just kind of like the straw that broke camel's back. But even like products I've bought for years, right? They were great. And then they made improvements on them. And those improvements were horrible. And I will never buy their product again. I was their customer for years. And I'll never buy those products again. Now, why is that? Why did they improve? And I'm using air quotes here if you're listening on the Spotify or Apple podcast. I'm using air quotes. They improved their product, which basically means they found a way to make it cheaper, and they increased their profit margin, but the quality of product sucks now. But you're still going to pay the same price, if not more, for the improvement on the product. No, I just won't buy it anymore. I'll go buy another one. I'll go buy a different brand. Okay. And do you not understand that people have choices? And if you want to maintain your clientele, you have to maintain standards. And if you're not willing to maintain those standards, you're more worried about the bottom. If you're more worried about your profit margin than you are worried about the quality of your product or service, you're going to have zero margin because you're not going to be able to sell shit. Because once that rep gets out that your product went to shit, nobody's buying it. So how have you really increased your profit margin? You haven't. It costs you more to lose those clients than it does to gain new ones. Okay. And before I said certain products, there's certain products, I'll tell everybody, yeah, this is what I use. You know what I mean? And now this is the furthest thing I'm going to do from now on. Like, you're not getting anything from me because you decided to, fuck around and find out, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of just going off on a tangent here today. So I'm really kind of set off. It's like, if you don't have you have a certain product or you provide a certain service and it's great and people are raving about it, don't fuck with it. Okay. Leave it alone. Okay. Again, if the price of, let's say your product, let's say the price of your, suppliers, the raw material to make the product or whatever, those prices go up, which is going to happen with the economy, things like that. And you have to increase your price a little bit to offset, your customers are going to understand. I mean, as long as you don't go like crazy, insane raising prices, because I know I'm willing to pay more for a quality product. I know a lot of other people that are willing to pay more for a quality product. And we also understand it's like, hey, we're business owners. Explain, like, hey, you know what? Our costs went up. It cost me to maintain the standard of excellence. We have to increase the price because our prices have gone up, or else I can give you an inferior product, but I don't do that. Okay. This is our product. This is our service. And this is the level we're going to maintain. Customers will pay more for it. Don't be afraid. Again, unless you're going like completely like insane, raising it like 180%, something crazy. You gotta it's got to be a commitment. Okay. And like I said, if you don't grow as fast, maybe as you were planning, but you're maintaining that product, you're maintaining that service, maintaining that high level of quality. I mean, how can you not be proud of that? How can you? It's not always to me. I mean, yeah, I mean, I provide my family, I make a living, right? I don't do this for free. But at the same time, you know, if I don't grow it, if I'm not the next Joe Rogan in the next 2 years, I'm okay. Okay, because the standard of the show and the standard of the video content that we create, okay, will be there, and the people we bring on will share the vision of here's the deal, what we do to educate, elevate, and inspire entrepreneurs. Okay, if you're down with that movement, come on board. If you're not, then don't, and I'm gonna know right away. You can, or maybe you might pull the wool over my eyes for a minute, but sooner or later we're gonna find out, and then we're gonna get to it. You can't compromise those things. If you want to, I guess you can, but again, you're gonna lose clients. You're gonna lose that following, and then once the negative reviews start happening, it's a downward spiral. You're cooked. You're done. Do you want to risk that for a couple fucking cents? To, oh well, instead of having our raw material come from United States, we're going to get it from China. It's going to be this, and then it's going to be shit, and your product's going to suck, and it's going to be worthless. But yeah, but you had the balls to charge the same price, if not more. No, no, wrong answer. You're going to lose more people than you gain. When you bring somebody on board, okay, if they're not sharing the values, you know what I mean? That's not going to help build your brand. Warm bodies don't build a brand. Okay, just because you got employees like, oh, we just hired so many people. Okay, good, great, congratulations. But are they going to be there in a couple of years, or are you going to have massive turnover? I'd rather grow the company really slow and work on it, but maintain the standard. And if I have to grow it a little slower than I would like, okay. But at the same time, we are hiring standards. Okay, we have product standards, we have service standards, and we have hiring standards. But again, it comes down to leadership. Being not only, again, communicating clearly what the message is, what the culture is, what the mission is, what the standards are. Not only communicating clearly the consequences, I guess, if you will, lack of a better term. If you don't meet these standards, you don't work here anymore. That's just it. You know what I mean? But it's going to be up to the ownership to not, like I said, walk that daily. There's still business owners of big companies. They'll walk the floor all the time. Go talk to the employees. Hey, what's up, Mike? Well, whatever. Hey, Sally. You know what I mean? They're down there. Hey, how you doing? Can I help you? Is there anything you need? There's nothing wrong. Like I said, you want to build a loyal following and loyal employees, and talk to them every day about their needs. Okay, don't just have them. When I just hired like my VA and stuff like that, I asked her, "What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish here? How can I help you?" If that means she's out of here in a couple years to go pursue something else that she wants to do, great, excellent. I'll be more than happy to give her a letter of recommendation, whatever I got to do to help her. You know what I mean? She's helping me now, doing the things we get done here. And if I can keep her on board, I'm going to try my best to keep her on board because she's great. But if she, it's time for her to make her move and do her thing, I'm going to say, God bless. What can I do to help? And I'm always here. I'll always be here for her because I remember those who helped me. You know what I mean? So if later on down the road she does something, she says, "Hey, Chris, what do you think about that?" Oh, I am. I'm gonna help her out because right now she's being great to me. So why wouldn't I be great to her? Unless something insane happens, but I highly doubt that. Let me ask you something. Are you trying to get attention or build something that actually lasts? Because most people are chasing marketing, clicks, ads, impressions. But here's the deal, that's not what we do. At Here's the Deal, we build something different. It's called the Inner Circle. And it's built on one mission: educate, elevate, and inspire entrepreneurs. This is an each one teach one ecosystem where business owners don't just grow, they help others grow. As part of the Inner Circle, yeah, you're going to get visibility. You'll get in front of business owners and you'll stay top of mind. But more importantly, you become part of the conversation, part of the community, part of the movement. This isn't for everyone. The Inner Circle is for business owners who believe in impact, not just impressions. You're not just a sponsor, you're a leader. If that's you, click the link below and let's bring you into the Inner Circle. As we were mentioning before, the quality of the product or service you provide, you might be able to make it cheaper today, but it's going to be way more expensive down the road. Going back to that point that we were making about losing those clients. Is it really worth cutting corners because your brand's going to erode? You built a brand. You built something. Okay? People know it. People trust it. You cut a corner, the trust is gone. Once that trust is gone, you're cooked. You're done. Brand zero. If you have this, and you're going to have people, because all they give a shit about is money. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, we can increase our margins and blah, blah, blah. And let's have a banker for 30 years, bro. I could talk to you all day about this, that, and the third. I've been there, done that. But I'd rather make less money, build a loyal base, and still provide for my family. I'm not going to lowball, and I'm not going to lowball in anything. I'm not going to lower my prices just to meet your stand. No. This is the quality. You know why I can charge what I charge? Because my quality is that freaking good. That's why I can charge what I charge. And it doesn't deviate from there either. I'm not going to be the lowest cost person. I don't want to be. And I don't have to be, because I provide a good product and a good service. So I charge what I charge. That standard ain't going away. Okay. What? If I do less business, whatever, and I'm still providing for my family, then great. That's all that matters. But I'm not going to lower my standards or lower the quality of the product that I provide. That will not happen. I won't allow it. And as a business owner, you shouldn't either. And I might be preaching to the choir right now. There's a lot of people out here that probably listen like, yeah, this is what I do. Great. Remember that, because there's going to be a point in time where you're going to grow and grow and grow. Don't forget. What's the old saying? You go with the girl that brought you to the dance. Right? You go home with the girl that brought you to the dance. This is what brought me to the dance. I ain't changing. I mean, of course, you're going to change in business. You're going to innovate. You're going to do things like that. But I'm not changing the standard. Standards don't change. Integrity don't change. Got some relevant statistics here. This is like 86% of customers say they'll leave a brand after 2 poor experiences. This is from like 2024 CX studies. I sure the hell did. Listen, I was using, hey, you can see razors. Okay. Now, if I could, especially shaving my head like that, I would use the old school razors that you put the razor blade in, you twist the bottom and it closes the thing. If I could do that for my head, if I can use those on my head, I would. I have before, and it cuts way too much. And I was using one brand of razor for a long time because it was great. Okay. I won't say the name necessarily, but it was a certain club. And they improved their handle. And head kept popping off. Right in the middle of me shaving. Head pops off. Head pops off. What the fuck good is that? What good is that? What improvement did you make? That the head comes off of the razor easier? And it wasn't like, it was the cheapest set either. I had the most expensive set, and it was crap. Totally changed. Never going back ever. Was that worth it? Was it worth you to lose me and Now I've already turned like 3 other people onto the new set that I'm using. Could add that business. You lost it. Okay. So it's going to be more expensive when you cut corners. Just saying. 73% of consumers say experience is the number one factor in buying decision. That's according to PwC. Um, and I think I know I do, and a lot of people I associate with, we all say the same thing. Yeah, we'll pay more for a good service. We'll pay more for a good product. We're okay with that. We expect a certain level, certain standards, and if you can provide it, then we'll pay the extra. We're okay with that. Anybody that I don't know too many people that are willing to, just go to like the cheapest restaurant. You know, I mean, yeah, if you're, even still, if I'm going fast food, I'm going in and out. Well, they're not terribly expensive, but the quality's great and the service is great. So I'd rather go to something like that rather than McDonald's or whatever. But what I'd say, it costs 5 to 7 times more to acquire a new customer than it does to retain one. That's fact. Okay, like I said, you can. I've had what was it? People used to tell me all the time when I worked at the bank. Oh yeah, I run so much money through this bank. Shit runs through a goose too. So how much money stays here is the question. How much money do you have on deposit? You can run money through the bank all you want, but shit goes through a goose. Okay, so if it's not staying around, then what good is it for us as a bank? you know, um, and if and I never understood that even when I was at the bank. They're like, "How many new accounts did you open up today?" I didn't have to. I got a book of like 100 clients. They're all set. I'm acquiring more, but like I'm also maintaining the ones I got. They expect a certain standard, and I give it to them. Okay, so if you are more worried about turning and burning than you are about maintaining a client base, because like I said, I would, any one of my clients, anybody I've talked to, they'll give me 5 referrals if I ask them. Hey, did you enjoy the interaction we had? Did I come through for you? Did I do the job you expected me to do? Oh yeah, Chris, you were great. Whatever. Awesome. Give me 5 of your friends that can use my service. Boom. Zero hesitation. Zero. Okay. I ask people I've worked with doing video. Hey, would you do a testimony for me? Boom. Zero hesitation. Absolutely. So when you provide that level of service, that's the loyalty you get. I wouldn't trade that for anything. Do I want 1 million clients? I'm not going to turn them down, but am I going for, like I said, am I going, will I eventually, we are growing and doing things, but at the same time, it's like, I'd rather grow it the right way. I guess, like I said, the standards need to be kept. And if I grow so much and I can't maintain that standard, then we need to pump the brakes, until we can meet that standard. Because again, I'm not going to cut corners just to, make a buck. Not happening. And you shouldn't either. Also, another stat here says 60% plus of customers will stop doing business after one bad experience in service-based industries. Like I said, it's going back to what we were saying before. You have that one bad experience. I had my experience with the razors and never buying that brand again. You don't lose clients slowly. You're going to lose somebody again if they expect a certain standard. You promise a certain standard. We miss deadlines all the time. Everybody does that. I mean, like I said, things are going to happen. Emergencies are going to happen. Whatever. Okay, but if you're consistently dropping the ball and consistently missing that deadline, they're gone. They're gone. And again, you're not going to get those. You're not going to get those people back. And your scale should never outpace your standard. Okay. Again, if you can't maintain a level of service while you're growing, pump the brakes. Grow it the right way. If you got to do it a little slower than what you expected, do it slower, but make it better. Okay. More clients and more volume doesn't make things better. You know what I mean? If you can't maintain that standard, it's that you don't want to be ready, shoot, aim. Okay. You want to make sure that, hey, I mean, sometimes you're going to outpace. You're like, whoa, this took off a lot more than I expected. Okay. But at the same time, communicate with your clients. Just say, hey, you know what? We've had some, increases in volume, things like that, to maintain this standard of excellence that you expect, that we demand. It's going to take me, a little bit of time, but we're going to get you that quality product within, if you could do it within, agree upon a certain amount of days, you know what I mean, or whatever. If you do that, you're going to find clients are going to be like, okay, great. I appreciate, they're going to appreciate the candor. They're going to appreciate, the, hey, and if you do mess something up, own it. Say, hey, you know what? Even just the other day, I got caught up doing something. I missed an appointment, with a guy. It was like, and I looked at my calendar, like, oh man, I got caught. I was putting out a fire, doing whatever. I was like, oh shit. Okay, so I missed the appointment. I did, but you know what I did? Let him know right away. You know what? I owned it. It's on me. I got caught up doing something. Guy was totally cool. But here's what I did. Instead of him having to reschedule with me, I told him, give me your schedule. I'll accommodate you. I'm the one that messed this up. Okay, so let me reschedule what works for you. That was me showing humility, saying, hey, you know what? I own the fact I screwed up. Let me do this. He was like, absolutely. Here you go. Here's a link. Whenever you're ready. Boom, done. Because I owned it. And he was cool with that. You see what I'm saying? Do that for your clients as well. If you screw something up, own it. Maintain the standard of excellence. And it starts and ends with you, the leader. If something goes sideways, it's like, oh, well, this guy over here I just hired, he kind of screwed it up, whatever. And then don't throw Skippy under the bus there. Own your shit. Okay? You're the leader. You're the big dog. Okay? Buck stop with you kind of guy. Gal. Okay? Whatever. Own your shit. If something got sideways, you know what? That's on me. I'm not gonna. If I'm the coach of the team, I'm not gonna blame the quarterback. I'm not gonna blame the defense. You know what? It was my job to get these guys coached up, get them ready to play. That standard was not met. That's on me. Next week, you're going to see a change and things are going to get different. Now, the practices are going to get a little deeper the next week, for sure. But again, you're the leader. Own it. If a standard gets cut, is that on Skippy, the employer, or is that on you? Yes, and pull Skippy in the out. Why did you do this way? Oh, I just thought it would be faster. Did we not have a conversation when you came on board? This is the minimum standard. Yeah, we did. Why did you think that was negotiable? Why did you think that was optional? See what they say. I mean, if they come back with, hey, I didn't think I was going to meet the deadline. Okay. Well, if you think you're not going to meet a deadline or something, talk to me prior. Hey, I don't think I'm going to make this deadline. I'm jammed up, this and the third, Because then that's my job to say, okay, what's going on? How can I help you? What are we missing? Is it always the employee that doesn't have the time or let things get behind? Maybe it's your process. Maybe some things are, redundant where they're waiting on, this certain communication or this certain thing, and this didn't have, so it could have been some, domino things that, started falling where things got behind. You as the leader need to fix that. You need to maintain the standard. Okay. But it's your job to talk to the employees. Hey, I noticed, and tell them cutting corners and doing shit half-ass is never, 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 never an option. If you do it again, you're fired. Okay, instantaneous. Okay, we don't cut standards here. We don't cut corners. If you can't make a deadline or something's going on, hey, this product, we got these materials in to make this product. They didn't work. Something was wrong. Someone was like, maybe your vendor improved their product. Okay, air quotes again for the listeners on the audio. If your vendor, if your product, your service you provide relies on a certain vendor to provide you things, and their standards change and their standards go to shit, that reflects poorly on you for using their stuff. Go find a new vendor. Go talk to your vendor. Say, hey, what's up? We're getting inferior products. What's going on? We made this improvement. No, it's not an improvement. If anything, if anything, you're going to lose my business. Fix it, or else I'll just go get another vendor. And that's it. So leadership is not easy. Standards, maintaining a high standard is not easy, but it's what's required to make your brand and your culture stand out from everybody else. Because referrals, longevity of your service, that's paramount. But you can't do that without maintaining certain standards. I've heard this says margins pays the bills, but integrity builds empires. I heard that somewhere. I don't remember where. Margins pay the bills, integrity builds empires. Think about that for a minute. Again, the brand. It's going to come down to the brand. It's going to come down to the excellence. Do you know why certain brands do have the reputation they have for excellence, quality? You can think of Mercedes-Benz, Rolex, Glock. Why are they the standard? Because they provide the best product and the best service. I'm not really a Mercedes guy myself. Between German cars, I'd rather buy a BMW over Mercedes, but Chevy, Dodge, Ford, brand preference. I drive an Acura. I like the Japanese better than the German. Anyway, but that standard that they have, Rolex. You hear Rolex, you just know it's a Rolex. It's excellent. It's perfect. Okay. They don't deviate the standard. They don't make it cheaper. They don't use inferior products. It's here. And you know what? You're going to pay 20 grand, 30 grand, whatever up for that watch. You'll own it the rest of your life and they'll stand behind it. You pay for it, but the quality's there. You know what I mean? So your product should do the same. My product does. My service does. Your service, you should demand the same of your service. You should be the Rolex of your industry, whatever that is. Okay? That's what I shoot for myself. It's okay to, like I said, you definitely, in business, we talk about it all the time. You want to innovate. You want to change things up. You want to, say, provide different services and things like that. We've talked about, keeping the main thing. If you're going to have another service, like I said, make sure it ties into your main mission, things like that. But not all innovations are improvements. Okay. Again, if you innovate something, air quotes again, if you innovate something or if you improve something and it pulls away from your standard, that's not an innovation. If anything, it's degrading. It's watering down your brand. That can't, again, it just can't happen. I think you got to have you want a process you can repeat over and over. You know what I mean? Get things simplified. Get things, if you like when we do a show, okay, we got to go, we got to edit it, we got to put the intros and the outros. We're doing the closed captioning, make sure the bottom third is. We're doing, but it's a rinse and repeat process. It's again, every video it's done the same way. Okay, because like I said, you can replicate it over and over and over again. And then the more you do it, the faster you're even going to get at it. And you may find out, hey, you know what, we can, or we may have a new tool. Like, hey, this new AI tool does this way. Great. And we can get it done this much faster, but the quality's still there. Okay. If that's the case, let's test it. Let's try it. And if it makes our process even faster, but we maintain that quality, I'm all for it. Let's do it. Makes your job easier. If my employee, like I said, my employees come to me and say, hey, we're doing things this way. I think we can do it better with this particular tool, and it would be easier for us. Let's try it. Well, if it makes your job easier and you're happier at work doing what we need to get done, fantastic. As long as it costs like $10 million and totally throw our margins off and all that other stuff, again, margins are important, but like I said, the quality of product is more important. So make sure, but when you have that good flow, you have that standard, we call it SOP, standard operating procedure. Rinse and repeat, man. If you can get into that flow, it goes back to what we've done episodes before about building a business that's worth buying. If I walk away now, like I said, now that I have people to do some things for me, now I can start pulling back a little bit from the day-to-day grind and go get more clients, or I can take a couple days off. You know what? Everything's gonna be fine. No big deal. So that's when you're building a business again. But you got to have those processes in place. But we've talked about that on a few different shows, things like that. You are the leader. You set the tone. You set the standard. Okay. If you don't enforce the standard, if you just let things slide and you don't hold anybody accountable, they're going to leave. They're going to get another job working wherever they're going to work. But your business suffers. Your business, the one you signed the front of the checks on, the one you built the brand, that business is going to suffer. And you may never get it back. And then you're going to end up go getting a job. Do you want that? I don't. I'm not going back to working for anybody else, God willing, as long as I can, forever, But I think if you just hold that standard, hey, this is who we are. This is what we do. And this is how we do it. Processes can change. The tools that you use can change. Like I said, instead of having a manual hammer, you got an air gun. Next, who knows what they're going to come out with. If that makes your job easier, do it better, great. Let's do it. But this is who we are. Okay. I'm not going to be the cheapest. We're like I said, we're not cookie cutter. We're not super volume. Okay. It's more about a quality and a standard that is repeatable, because you want to build a brand that people trust. You want to build a reputation that, people are talking about you. You're creating a buzz. Hey, I did my videos with Chris. They came out great. We had a blast doing the recordings. He brought out my story, brought out, things I wasn't even ready to talk about, but he heard it and just said, hey, let's cover this. Things like that. When you build that level of trust in your brand, people are going to talk about it, and that's just going to bring you more business. But if your standards suck, they're going to talk about you. They're going to talk about you. All right. But it ain't going to be in a way that you're going to want. So in closing, excellence isn't expensive. Okay. Lack of integrity is expensive. That's the expensive part, because you're never going to get that trust back. You're never going to get that customer back. Okay. If you protect your standards, okay, your standards will protect your business. Okay. Again, we got a brand. We're protecting that brand because we're maintaining those standards. Okay. You should demand the same. We don't, here, well, I said, we're not chasing money. We're chasing mastery, right? We're chasing that. We're just the best at what we do, the quality, the excellence, everything we do, that we are the Rolex of video content. Okay. We are excellent. And we're going to get, like I said, we're just getting started, and it's going to be great. When you do that, the money will follow. Okay. When you maintain those standards, the money will follow. That's my challenge to you. Are you going to maintain that standard? Do you have the integrity to maintain that standard? I do. Do you? And we're out. Here, in closing up the show, and here's the deal. Just want to give all honor, glory, and praise to my Lord Jesus Christ, who, saved my soul and gives me the ability to do this show. Without him, I couldn't do anything. Also want to give thanks to my family. My wife, my kids support me doing this and, backing me up. I couldn't do any of this without them also. Got to thank the sponsors, of course. Everybody that, supports the show. And, of course, the fans, the people that subscribe to the show. I wouldn't do any of this without you, because it wouldn't be a show. So just want to say thank you all very much. Continue to, educate and elevate. Get out there, pursue your passions, pursue your dreams.